Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your presence and welcome. We meet this morning to consider 15 pieces of legislation sponsored by senators from both sides of the aisle. I'm grateful to the sponsors of the bills on today's agenda for their work and our witnesses for being here to offer their perspectives on these proposals. Before turning to our agenda items, I want to address the recent changes being considered at the VA in regard to workforce. I think the VA needs reform. The status quo is something this committee spends its time trying to improve on. We had hearings with veteran organizations 2 weeks ago, last week, in regard to how do we make things work better. If the status quo were working, we would not have spent those 2 weeks hearing from VSOs and ways the VA needs to improve. This is not a political statement. I'm just kind of outlining where I think we are. However, changes that affect VA policy and personnel must be thoughtful, transparent, carried out in close coordination with this committee, with our colleagues and with stakeholders, including veterans and the VSOs who represent them here in Washington, D.C. I am working on legislation that would require the VA's workforce planning to follow that model, because Congress must play a significant role in strategically shaping VA workforce decisions to achieve the right outcomes for veterans and their families. I have personally conveyed this message to Secretary Collins. The Secretary has committed to me that he will testify before this committee about his plans and how he intends to eliminate waste and inefficiency and refocus resources to improve delivery of health care and benefits to veterans, and I look forward to being able to schedule that hearing. That includes making certain that the VA remains well-staffed by a quality workforce and that efforts to right-size that workforce are done in a responsible manner, and to treat the men and women who entered public service to care for veterans, many of whom themselves are veterans, with respect and gratitude. Turning to today's agenda. These bills include legislation that I've introduced: the Veterans Access Act, the Restore VA Accountability Act, Love Lives On Act, and External Provider Scheduling Act. Together, these bills will build on bipartisan successes Congress has achieved in prior years to expand access to care and benefits for veterans and survivors, remove barriers to life-saving mental health care, and root out poor performers to strengthen the VA's workforce. I look forward to hearing testimony on these and other bills on today's agenda. With that, I yield to Senator Blumenthal, and I decided it sounded better to call him the Vice Chairman instead of ranking member. So I yield to the Vice Chairman of the committee for his opening remarks.